How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Bank of America potentially giving your private banking information to the FBI, to the federal government, to the federales, because maybe you were somewhere near or in DC right around the time of the Capitol kerfuffle on January 6, 2021. Okay, maybe you flew into DC in the Reagan Airport on January 5th. Maybe you bought an Airbnb in Northern Virginia or in Maryland or in DC itself right around that same time. Maybe you went to a 7-Eleven somewhere in Virginia close by DC right around that time. Just maybe you happen to be in that area. All right. And even worse yet, maybe you bought a pistol, like let's say in Falls Church or Alexandria, if that's possible, in Northern Virginia where you can buy guns. Okay. Like on January 4th or 5th, right before the whole Capitol situation. All right. If you fit any of those criteria, or if you fit enough of the criteria to meet the standard upon which you were sent to the federales, then you could have been contacted by the FBI. As a matter of fact, there was a dragnet so big, you're talking about 211 people caught up in it. And now, I don't mean suspects. I don't mean that people were identified by the FBI and then they went to Bank of America and said, hey, okay, Johnny Appleseed was in D.C. We think he might have been involved with the riot. He may have stormed the Capitol. We need his information. That did not happen. If that happened, that'd make sense. You know, if you got an axe murderer or something like that, and then the FBI says, hey, you know, this guy's over here chopping up little kids and whatnot. We need to get his information. All right, that's no problem. You can go ahead and have that. But I just happen to be in D.C., not me personally. So let's not get that confused. Let's not start that rumor. But let's say somebody was in DC on January 5th and they happened to buy a hot dog from, I don't know, McDonald's or something like they sell hot dogs, and they get caught up in this whole thing. Their private information is being given to the FBI. That's not right. I think it might be illegal. It's not necessarily illegal to have probable cause for somebody and have their records given to the FBI, but just a regular person that is not a suspect gets their information scanned and then gets sent in batch to the FBI. And then I think one person got investigated because of that and got cleared. They probably shouldn't have been investigated to begin with. This whole thing with the Capitol is being blown way out of proportion. Let's back up a little bit here to really talk about what's happening. Now, we all know what's going on with the Capitol. January 6, 2021. It was a big mess. People ended up getting injured. People got killed. And it was a lot. You know, the left and some on the right, they wanted to blame Trump and say, Trump did it. He's the one that, riled them up, talking about voter fraud and election was stolen, and he riled them up. Although the same FBI that's trying to get Bank of America and other banks, talk about that in a minute, to give this information, the same FBI knew about the riot before it happened. The same FBI had enough wherewithal to arrest Enrique Tarrio or the Proud Boys right before it happened. So, okay, FBI, you know what's going to happen. What do you do to stop it? I mean, you get your assets out of there, allegedly. You get your assets out, again, allegedly. But when it comes to just regular civilians, not even involved, really, you want to just get everybody in one big dragnet and see what's going on after the fact. You should have known what was happening right there on the ground. Why do you need to investigate later? And why get people that may not even really be involved? This is part of the reason why this whole thing was bad, because you got people now that are abusing their power and it's less resistance from the general public, because people on the left, they think, ha, 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 that's what they get. Stupid Trump supporters. First of all, a lot of these guys that are getting arrested in this whole kerfuffle don't even vote at all. You have some anti-government people. You have a lot of different factors in the mix, a lot of different people in the mix. You have some left wing, some right wing Trump supporters, Q, anti-government, Black Lives Matter, Antifa. You got all of them in one pot, but the media and regular normie leftists are calling them Trump supporters. That's not even really what's going on. But the point is that it's easy for people to say, all right, do whatever you want to do. Get everybody caught up in the dragnet, investigate innocent people with no probable cause. They think it's okay because they think that they're Trump supporters and they deserve it. But then when somebody comes to their door and they get that big police knock, that boom, boom, boom on their door. They're like, hey, what's going on here? I'm an innocent person. I'm a liberal. Nah, because you advocated for this overreaching government to come into your life and do whatever they want. You advocated for that because you thought that it was about the racist, white supremacist Trump supporter. That's what you thought on the left. But in reality, it's not that way. This is about all Americans. This should alarm every person. Like I said, if you are an actual criminal and you out here committing crimes, you beating old ladies in the head with a lead pipe, you selling drugs or whatever the case may be, then I'm not gonna cry river about your information being subpoenaed by the government. Okay, I'm not really worried about that. But just everybody, I mean, what's the next measure going to be? All right, check it out. If you are an American citizen and you were in America on January 6th, we're going to access your bank records. I mean, this whole thing was way too broad of a sweep. I could see if it was about specific people by name or organizations and their members, but everybody. So if I just go to DC and get a chicken sandwich, I'm on a watch list. And this whole thing has gone beyond just, the FBI, Bank of America. You got people that just happen to be in DC that are getting fired from their jobs. I mean, and at a certain point, is that discrimination? So if a person was in DC at the regular march and it didn't go anywhere near the violence, let alone go inside the Capitol, quote unquote, breaching the Capitol, why are they being fired? So if I go to a regular Trump rally and then I come home afterwards and then they say, okay, there was something that happened somewhere else. I mean, how is that my fault? What does that got to do with me? I'm just here for a regular event. People are getting fired left and right. They're being identified and they're being snitched on. They're being told on. It's all kind of stuff happening and it shouldn't be. Because what you have going on now is outright discrimination, period. You happen to be in DC that day, you're at the rally, or you just happen to be, I don't know, just walking around, minding your business, and then someone sees you on camera, or they think that is you, might not even be you. It doesn't even really matter. There was one guy that was identified falsely. They said, oh, this is a retired this is a retired firefighter in Chicago or something like that. I forget exactly where he was, but it wasn't even him. But by the time he was able to get to the media and plead his case, damage had been done. I mean, ruined, people had been threatening him. He had to spend money on this. So you got guys being falsely identified just for being in DC and having their lives ruined. This is going way too far, way too crazy. And I think every American, regardless of whether you're left, right, front row, center, should be a part of what's happening here, especially at Bank of America. They do not have the legal obligation, from what I've been able to read, in my humble opinion, so don't try to sue me. They don't have the obligation to give over everything. I think, from what I've been reading, the obligation is only about specific people. All right, do you have a warrant for their arrest? Do you have probable cause to investigate them? I'm not just going to give you all the information for everybody. And if that's happening, you might want to think twice about where you bank. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Do you think that Bank of America did the right thing by giving over all the information to the FBI? 211 people caught up in the dragnet. Not suspects that they had their eye on that may have been there, people that they know by name already. And no, just you were in DC. Maybe you bought an Airbnb in Virginia, Maryland, DC proper. You were on a plane. Like, you travel at all. If you travel at all, like, you could have went to UK or Thailand. If you travel at all, period, and you meet some of the other criteria, then you could get put on the list and potentially get questioned by the federales. Is that right? If that's your viewpoint, let me know why in the comments below. Or is it wrong to do that? Did they overstep their boundaries? Did they go way above and beyond in Call of Duty? I understand apprehending criminals, but just interrogating regular people, violating privacy. To what end are we going to reach to attack political opponents? That's what it is, in my humble opinion. It's a political thing. Bank of America maybe just doesn't like the Capitol situation. They think anybody that went there was just a bad person. So they have no problem just giving over whatever the government wants. They should have been able to fight it and say, hey, we can't just give you everything. You got to be able to tell us specific people that may have done something, and we can work with you that way, but not just everybody. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I don't think so. You guys know where I stand. I think this is just going way above and beyond in Call of Duty. This is just way too much. It shouldn't be this way. But this is what happens when people, they do stuff like the Capitol, and then the media, they dogpile on it and say it's the worst thing ever. But Black Lives Matter is seen as the best thing ever by the media, although much more destructive, many more lives taken, much more damaging to the overall psyche of America. That's being celebrated by the media. Therefore, it won't really be a big deal for, banks to withhold that information, because they probably won't even be asked for it. Only for the Capitol because of what the perception of it is compared to other things that are much worse that don't get treated as badly. They get treated with kid gloves. And like I said many times before, all I want in the country is equality and fairness in the true way, not in the twisted SJW liberal crazy sense of the word. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.